Hello everyone, I'm Alan and welcome to another episode of Rhythm in Africa. So today we're learning about the interesting music history of the Xhosa people. Let's get the ball rolling. So the Xhosa people had a form of party music called inhlombe, which would transport them into a trance-like state where they would experience overwhelming joy and happiness. So there is actually a form of music called trance right now. It's like a party music that sounds like rave a little bit. And people always wonder why this type of music is always repetitive. But the repetitive nature of it is the thing that eventually gets you into this trance-like state. It's like when you're meditating, focus on breath or focus on whatever for enough time until you get to another state of consciousness. So the people who party to trance music will totally understand this, but the Xhosa people understood this hundreds of years ago. So they had bowed instruments. I think this came from like the hunting bow, and they used their mouth to imitate the sounds of this instrument. So they also used their mouth to as a percussive instrument. Remember, Xhosa is the clicking language. Remember, Miriam Makeba popularized the language with her click song. So they'd used their mouth to imitate a lot of things, including nature things, and used different wind techniques to make percussive sounds with their mouth, which was basically beatboxing. They also had beatboxing hundreds of years ago. So while we're on the topic of imitation, they also had this form of music called umngokolo, which was an imitation of the sound of a beetle, a flying beetle. So what the boys used to do, they would poke this beetle with a thorn, and while it's trying to fly away, while it's still alive, they would put it in the mouth and then it would make a sound. So I don't think I'm allowed to do that here, so I'll try to do it with my phone. So imagine my phone is a beetle. Something like that. I think something like that. So they also had amagwijo, which were personal songs. So the way this would happen is later in the day when all the work is done, one person would just go in the dark and sit alone and start getting deep into thought and just wait until the music comes. So when the music comes, they'll just express whatever sound they're feeling, and whoever is listening is allowed to join into the music to make it even better, as long as they do not disturb or interrupt the soloist, and there was no dancing allowed. They still do a form of that music today, but I like this because where else would you hear someone sitting until music comes naturally, and then remember beatboxing as well? So whatever sound comes into their mind, they just let it out there without any rules, no metronome, no nothing. So they had another form of dancing called ukutitimba. Or Wichichimba, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly. But anyway, they would make the entire body vibrate, and in the dancer's head, they're trying to shake the skin off their body. I want to learn this so badly. So they had other dance parties called umchocho. So these provided the young with an opportunity to meet in a friendly environment where they'd connect through song and dance. And also have an opportunity to get friendly and court in a controlled environment. So this whole festival weekend would be given to teenagers to organize and police and rule and stuff. So it's almost like the grown-ups would give up all their roles and give their roles to the teenagers so that they practice adulthood from a young age. I think this was really cool. So remember the bowed instruments? The way they taught this was kind of funny. So the teacher would just come and sit and play this thing for an hour, and then they'd get tired and just get up and leave, and it's up to the student to figure out what just happened. Fun fact, so the South African national anthem was actually a Xhosa hymn written by a man called Enoch Sontonga. Okay, so there's a connection I'd like you to make. I've linked in the description to a song from a lady called Madosini who plays very, very old Xhosa music, Xhosa bar music. It's quite interesting. And I've also linked to 2 songs from Busimplongo and Tandiswa Mazwai. So these are modern artists, and if you listen carefully to those 3 songs, the old one and the new one, you can kind of hear the connection, like the old music echoing through the new music. And I really thank these artists for keeping this music alive somehow in a modern way. So yeah, I hope that will be interesting. We haven't got to the fun part yet because I want to lay some groundwork so that when we're learning instruments and doing a lot of other fun stuff, you'd have reference to all these things. So be patient and keep following. And also, like, if I make any mistakes, because this history is really hard to find, so if you have other information, other resources I can look at, or any mistakes I've made, correct them in the comments, and we will make this better as we go. See you next week.